I want to speak very loosely and kind of gently about anxiety and kind of working with and living with anxiety in your life. And it's kind of related to the spiritual journey, your path of awakening, but also just generally what it is to be alive with anxiety and the challenges, uh, the challenges that presents to anyone really. And I can say from my heart that if you've suffered with anxiety in your life, like kind of that deep existential, ruminatory, panic-inducing anxiety for any period of time, really, but like especially for maybe months or weeks, years, my heart really, really goes out to you. I know that feeling really deeply. I've had uh, I've had many years over the last few decades of suffering with an anxiety disorder and struggling at the time, really struggling to live a life that wasn't really kind of painful and fearful. And I think that's one of the memories I have the most really about dealing with anxiety is that I felt like I was living a life of fear kind of all the times, like every decision I would make, if I was even making decisions, but pretty much everything that was involved in was coming from a place of fear. And it's just so tiring and exhausting. And I remember also that feeling of being trapped. That's kind of what it felt like. I was trapped in this cycle, in this kind of loop of the mind, of just this endless, painful rumination, trying to, with thoughts, and I didn't know that I was doing it. It's not like I chose to do it, but trying to figure out the problem, trying to fix the situation. But obviously, it wouldn't work because it was the wrong tool for the job. It was the problem solving, thinking mind trying to get to the bottom of a much deeper issue, an issue of the being, really, an issue of emotion. But I was applying, you could say, the logical problem solving mind to the wrong task. And because of that, because it never really worked, the underlying emotions that were driving this anxiety, this anxious mind and body states, the emotions were never really touched. And all I would be left with is more anxiety, more searching in the mind, more problem solving, a lot more thinking, and kind of a constant state of disconnection and fear. It's really, really challenging, just to keep yourself afloat in those instances, especially when it's really acute and you're feeling really lost, and all there is just fear and anxiety and rumination, and also these thoughts of low self-esteem. I remember that very clearly. The thoughts that would accompany the initial feelings of anxiety and fear would often turn to, and what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Why can't you just fix this? Look at everybody else. Everybody else is fine. You're broken. You're damaged. Yeah, and I felt like it was all my fault. I've done this to me because I'm not good enough. Now, in my life, I've been lucky enough to explore, some of those roots that sit beneath the anxiety, the root beliefs that led to my specific presentation of thought, in the mind. But yeah, it took a lot of patience and a really strong support network and professional help in order for me to get really close to what was going on, really close and intimate with the processes that were happening so that I could be free of them. Not free as in cast them away, but move into a deeper way of being in life. So like I said, if you are suffering with, anxiety or that kind of panic-induced rumination, and it's often accompanied with like these physical sensations. So for me, it was clamming of the throat. My throat would like clench up like this. In fact, that's been one of the strongest areas, even once I've been, you could say, past my anxiety issues. So I no longer suffer with mental anxiety anymore, but still that kind of core physiological response to life, a lot of it's stored in my throat. Tightness of the chest, kind of fevery feelings, tightness in the jaw, sense of panic kind of running up and down like the central channel of my being. Yeah, those kind of things often accompany or are part and parcel of living a life with anxiety. Now, in themselves, those feelings, they're not necessarily bad. They're not necessarily to be avoided. In fact, I would say they're not to be avoided. But the mind doesn't know that. The mind, which has tried to keep us safe all our life by creating some distance with which to make plans and prepare and solve problems, it kind of retracts away from these feelings when they occur again and again and again, and it just like kind of falls back or propels itself into just this world of ruminatory thought, all based around a self that isn't good enough and can't cope. And yeah, if you've suffered with anxiety, like I've suffered with anxiety, and many, many people do, you'll know that it's that kind of process, that thought process, it's never ending. Unless we're able to see what's going on and be willing to witness with, like real authenticity, what the mind's doing, and that there's something deeper, more felt, more emotional. Unless we're willing to do that, that anxious response to life is never ending. It feels like it's never ending. I remember a certain point in my life, not too long ago, like years ago, where I thought, well, that's it. I'm a guy with anxiety. The rest of my life will be managing anxiety forever and trying to just get coping strategies to deal with it. Yeah, I mean, I'm really happy and glad to say that's not the case. Anxiety can be worked with, moved through, healed from. But it takes, like I said before, authenticity, a real desire to want to work with it. Support, it takes support. Yeah, definitely, like you cannot do it on your own. If you're in the midst of deep anxiety and you're trying to work with it and be free from it, you need help, you need support, and not just from books and videos. You need interpersonal support, so family, friends, people that you can communicate openly with, and ideally some kind of professional who's experienced in working with people with anxiety, so that they can reflect, and guide and really gently show you a different way of being. It's easy to think, oh well, I'll just, maybe you've discovered like self-help and spirituality, maybe if you're watching this, that's the case, and you think, oh, I'm going to meditate it away, I'm going to tackle it with the spiritual path. And that's possible, but on your own, you're going to find it very, very difficult. So if you find yourself, working with anxiety or experience anxiety in your life, and you maybe got a spiritual bent, let's say, or you're exploring spirituality or awakening, use as many resources as are available. And especially, like I said, human resources, not HR, not human resources, but like interpersonal resources, relationships, trusted relationships, people that you can rely upon to communicate what's really going on. So I've not really got a lot of advice at the moment other than that. It's not really about advice. I kind of just wanted to express that um, if you are going through these deeply anxious moments, or if you've been working with anxiety for a long time, I feel for you. I know what it's like. But um, yeah, you are enough, and there is a way out. Not a way out of the anxiety, as in like to escape from, maybe a way through. There's a way through. You can work with this, and you can be free from it. You can live a life from working with anxiety and your own mind patterns, and also being more vulnerable to the emotional aspect of life. You can be free from anxiety and live maybe a much more richly emotional life, but it takes time and it takes support. So go easy on yourself. Yeah, and I'm sending you lots of care and compassion.